You cried at a commercial. You teared up when someone else got good news. You felt your eyes sting during a movie that nobody else seemed affected by. And somewhere along the way, someone saw you cry, and the look on their face told you everything. That this was a problem. That you were too much. You didn't need to get it together. You needed someone to explain what was actually happening. Today, we're going to talk about the psychology of people who cry easily. Not in a dismissive, it's okay to be sensitive way. In the specific, neurologically real, research-backed way that will completely change how you see one of the most misunderstood traits a human being can have. Let's start with what crying actually is. Most people think of tears as an emotional overflow, what happens when feelings get too big to contain. Research from biochemist William Frey found something remarkable. Emotional tears contain significantly higher concentrations of stress hormones than reflex tears, including ACTH, the hormone associated with the body's stress response, and leucine and enkephalin, a natural painkiller. What this means is that crying isn't just an expression of emotion, it's a biological process of emotional regulation. Your body is literally flushing stress hormones through your tear ducts. People who cry easily aren't people whose emotions are out of control. They're people whose bodies are exceptionally efficient at processing emotional experience. Now let's talk about why some people cry more easily than others, and why this isn't weakness. It's neuroscience.
Research on sensory processing sensitivity shows that approximately 15 to 20% of the population has a nervous system that processes emotional and sensory information significantly more deeply than average. These individuals don't just notice more, they feel more. Every emotional signal that enters their awareness gets processed at a deeper level, held longer, and integrated more thoroughly than it would be in a less sensitive nervous system. A moving piece of music doesn't just sound beautiful, it lands in the body like a physical experience. A story of someone else's struggle doesn't just register intellectually, it gets felt in the chest, in the throat, behind the eyes. A moment of unexpected kindness doesn't just feel nice, it overwhelms. Not because something is wrong, but because their nervous system is doing exactly what it was built to do, processing human experience at full depth. And tears are simply what that depth looks like from the outside. But here's what makes this even more fascinating. Research from the University of Southern California found that people who cry more easily score significantly higher on measures of empathy, specifically cognitive empathy, the ability to accurately understand and model another person's emotional state, and affective empathy, the ability to actually feel what another person is feeling.
In other words, the people who cry most easily are also the people most accurately reading the emotional reality of everyone around them. Your nervous system is built to process emotional information deeply. So you're going to be extraordinarily good at detecting, tracking, and resonating with other people's emotional states. You're going to notice the subtle shift in someone's voice, the look behind someone's eyes, the thing that wasn't said but was felt in the room. And that level of emotional perception, that quality of attention, is not a flaw. It's one of the most sophisticated capacities a human nervous system can develop. Now, let's talk about what happens when people who cry easily are told their whole lives that they shouldn't. Because this is where the real damage occurs. Not in the crying, in the suppression. Research from Stanford University found that emotional suppression, the active effort to prevent or hide emotional experience, has significant neurological and physiological costs. In the short term, it increases cardiovascular stress. In the long term, it disrupts the body's natural stress regulation system. It impairs memory formation. It reduces the quality of social connections. People who cry easily and have learned to suppress those tears don't become less emotional. They become chronically overregulated. carrying a continuous internal load of processed but unexpressed emotional experience that their nervous system was designed to release but has been trained not to. The pressure doesn't go away, it goes inward. And here's the cruel irony. The same emotional depth that makes people who cry easily appear vulnerable is also what makes them exceptionally resilient. Research from the University of Minnesota found that individuals with higher emotional sensitivity demonstrate significantly greater post-traumatic growth after difficult experiences. They process emotional events more thoroughly, they integrate painful experiences more completely, and they emerge from difficulty with more developed self-understanding than people who process emotions less deeply. The person who cries easily is not someone who falls apart. They're someone who processes completely. There's also an important social dimension to this that almost nobody talks about. Tears are one of the most powerful social signals in human communication. Research from the Netherlands Institute for Neuroscience found that seeing someone else's tears significantly increases the observer's feelings of empathy, social connection, and desire to help. Tears communicate vulnerability in a way that words rarely can. And in doing so, they invite genuine connection.
People who cry easily are constantly creating the conditions for real human connection. Their tears signal to others that something real is happening, that this person is present, that this person can be reached. And in a world where most people are performing rather than feeling, that signal is extraordinarily rare and extraordinarily powerful. But here's what the research also reveals. The people who are most uncomfortable with others' tears, who respond to crying with dismissal or the instruction to stop, are often the people with the lowest emotional literacy. The ones least able to tolerate their own emotional experience. And when they tell someone who cries easily to get it together, what they're really communicating is their own discomfort with depth. Their own inability to sit with genuine feeling. Their own emotional limitation. Not yours. So if you cry easily, if you've been told your whole life that this is too much,
your nervous system is more sophisticated than average. Your empathy is more accurate than average. Your emotional processing is more complete than average. And your capacity for genuine human connection, the kind that requires actually feeling something, is rarer and more valuable than the world has ever given you credit for. The tears were never the problem. They were the evidence of something extraordinary happening inside you. Something that most people, in their efforts to appear strong, to stay controlled, to never let anything show, have lost entirely. You didn't need to cry less. You needed to be around people who understood what the tears actually meant. Hit subscribe if this finally gave words to something you've always felt but couldn't explain. And if you want to understand why the people who feel the most are also the ones who love the most completely, that video is next. You already know you need to watch it.